Hello, my name is Rodgeir Vinsrig. I'm a doctor and have been a practicing physician for many years, both inside and outside hospitals. An emergency has arisen in Loten municipality, Norway. This emergency forces me to speak publicly about this case. I note that these are circumstances that remove the obligation for confidentiality for healthcare personnel, and in the light of how this case has developed, also means that I have a duty to report on this. I will here inform you about the steps that have been taken. I will start by telling about an incident from September 2019, about 5 years ago. A man came quickly down the stairs, almost falling flat on his face. I was a little worried about him, but he was fine. He was wearing a suit and tie. This was in Strasbourg, France, at the European Court of Human Rights. The man walking down the stairs was the Norwegian government attorney, Sejersted. The reason why he was so agitated was because Norway had just lost its first child protection service case in Strasbourg, the so-called Trudlobben or Strandlobben case. Most of you are familiar with that case. In that case, gross human rights violations were revealed, and Norwegian authorities probably realised that this was something that would eventually become more of a focus, which was absolutely right. I have worked in particular on 3 cases in the last 5 to 6 years. In short, the common factor in these cases is document forgery, sexual abuse of minors, which is not addressed or dealt with by the Norwegian authorities, and gross violations of human rights with serious consequences. I have sadly come across cases where children have died under the care of the Norwegian Child Protection Services. The perpetrators receive full protection from the police, prosecutors, child protection services and politicians. Everybody involved tries to keep this hidden. I'm sitting here today because we are trying to prevent another death of a minor, which we fear will occur. I am also sitting here as a representative or extension of many other healthcare professionals. Those involved in this particular case about which I'm going to talk are doctors, experienced psychologists and lawyers. Lawyers who work with human rights, lawyers who have won cases at the Supreme Court, private individuals and others. There are between 40 and 50 reports of concern in this case, which have been dismissed by Child Protection Services in Loten municipality. They have not investigated concerns. In contrast, there is one and perhaps a few more cases that are given full emphasis. I will show that later. As I said, forgery of documents is a significant part of what I have seen in my practice. I will show an example of a forged document. This is sadly a death certificate of a deceased child. This case is well known and in the public domain. I won't go into it in more detail right now, but I want to briefly show you who are watching that the doctor who supposedly wrote this death certificate has no healthcare personal number, does not work anywhere, there is no telephone number. This doctor cannot be identified. Incredibly enough, this doctor does not exist.
Foreløpig, utrolig nok.
This death certificate has gone all the way to the police in Stavanger, Norway, the prosecuting authority at the State Attorney's Office in Rogaland County. An appeal has been sent to the Attorney General, Jon Maurud. They have been made responsible for approving this death certificate. When they refused to handle it, the case was appealed to Minister of Justice, Mail, in the Norwegian Parliament. This death certificate is approved by the local senior physician. The cause of death has been diagnosed as death by hanging from a white curtain rod.
Og den inneholder en diagnose som hengning.
I have information, documentation and photographs that have been leaked by the police in Stavanger, Norway. The photos show a child with major external injuries. Even more severe injuries have been reported by those who saw the child in person. This child has been raped, sadly, and a number of other things I won't go into here. This is a fake death certificate and it has received full approval by the Norwegian system. This cannot stand the light of day. I will now talk about the case in Loten municipality. Here is a report of concern in the case in Loten. The person responsible for this certificate is the head of the Child Protection Services, Jørgen Austeng. Upon further investigation, this is one of the cases that has received full approval. There is information that this report of concern has been forged and that possibly there are many indications of this, that it was written by the head of the Child Protection Services in Loughton herself, i.e. Jørgen Austeng, meaning that this is serious forgery of documents which is punishable by law. This is punishable by several years in prison if that is the case. I am mentioning this because there is a significant suspicion of this being true, and the consequence is so severe for the children involved that it is only right to inform the public about it. This is reported to the police in Innlandet County quite recently, and it is stated there at the end, quote, "We wish to remain anonymous." An anonymous report of concern has been fully approved by the Child Protection Services in Loughton Municipality. I have recently been in a meeting with municipal county representatives in Loughton and Innlandet. I reported a very serious situation regarding 2 children. I will talk briefly about it now. These 2 children were taken by the Child Protection Services in Loughton in 2023. The curious thing about this is that the children did not live in Loughton Municipality. They lived in another municipality. In other words, Child Protection Services from Loughton Municipality entered another municipality long after the family had moved away from Loughton and taken 2 children with them. There was not established any child protection case in the municipality where the children lived. There was no concern for the children's well-being. Something is not right here. It is therefore false reports of concern that have led to this. It involves serious sexual abuse of the children, which is not being investigated. And we know that children have been sent to illegal foster homes where it is suspected that paedophiles are present. I recently reported 2 central representatives to the police. One of them is the head of the Child Protection Services in Loughton Municipality, Jørgen Austeng. Here we are talking about taking children away illegally, and there is a risk of suspicion of serious forgery of documents. As this case has developed, I have also reported the mayor of Loughton Municipality to the police, Marta Tonseth. She is responsible for this. The children's father has contacted healthcare personnel several times over a period of time in order to prevent a dangerous situation, but there has not been adequate response. Thereby, this case becomes a public matter, and it is only a matter of time before this becomes well known in Innlandet County. The situation today for these people is extremely dangerous, and this matter has been described very clearly by me to the Municipal Council, which is responsible when the Child Protection Services become incompetent. One of the children has attempted suicide several times in the past year after reports of concern were sent. This is very unnatural for children and, of course, is also a sign that something is seriously wrong. There has sadly also been a very serious incident recently, which has also become a matter in the media in Innlandet. This happened last week, which means that the concern about the child's well-being is significant. There are strong forces at work to end this tragic situation before it is too late. Thus, I have contacted the Municipal Council in Loughton and Elverum right now. I have had meetings with representatives. All of them are familiar with the concerns that apply from me and other experienced health personnel. It includes several psychologists who are involved. This case has also been sent to the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg. Among other things, there have been reports of the mother without a county order extending the time of restraining order that does not exist. Folks, this has to be a bad joke. It puts the child's legal security at risk. This case will be followed up by me and others. There may possibly be more broadcasts in the future.
Dette vil bli fulgt opp av meg og andre, og det kan eventuelt komme flere sendinger. Takk.